Life and Living with Samson Olatunji. Perhaps this is the first time you will be coming along with us on this platform. I would passionately appeal to you to subscribe to the channel and also click on the notification bell so that anytime we have another topic to discuss, you may be informed promptly. Here we talk about what it demands to have a good life. And you would agree with me that several aspects of our lives contribute to the standard, the quality of life that we will enjoy or endure, as the case may be. And so we are looking at another thing today, which has to do with our marital life, your marriage and a good life. Whoever has been observant and has studied a lot of people's lives would agree with me that the quality of one's life cannot be divorced from one's marital life. And that's why we're looking at your marriage and a good life. And you would also know that marriage is multifaceted, it is multidimensional, it is something that has many sides to it. But we are looking at an interesting aspect of marriage, which is about polygamy and monogamy. I've observed that whatever opinion one holds, whatever is one's conviction about the issue of polygamy, is predominantly determined by one's faith. And that's why I may have to make reference to certain faiths and their teachings about polygamy as we go along. In that case, we know how we came to believe what we believe, how we came to hold what we hold as our views about polygamy, and we may examine those views and see where they are leading us to. I want to start with the pre-Judaistic and the Judaistic era. We talk about Judaism. There was a man in the pre-Judaistic era known as Abraham. Father Abraham loved God, and God knew that Abraham was a friend after God had tested him in several ways and he had passed God's litmus test of love. No wonder when God was about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, that had nothing to do with Abraham personally, except that his nephew lived in Sodom and Gomorrah. God said, should I do such a great thing without informing my friend Abraham? And God told him, friend, I will destroy those two cities. We know how God respected Abraham in that discussion. And God helped him to conquer nations, to silence kings. God prospered him abundantly. However, on the side of God, of Abraham's status as a polygamist, there were problems. And we are all witnesses to one of the problems that arose from his polygamous status and that has persisted for millennia. And you will know that the Arabs and the Israelites were a product of Abraham's polygamous status. And you know that the Arabs and the Israelites are not the best of friends, and their rivalry affects the whole world. So one would want to ask, why didn't God come to the rescue of his friend, the polygamist? We can also look at the life of King David. Even when David was a young boy, a teenager, a whole king who was also an expert warrior, pursued him several times, failed to conquer David. David defeated all his enemies. God himself testified that David was a man after his own heart. God said, David is a man after my heart. David too went into polygamy. Then he experienced a lot of heartaches, like his children raping each other, killing one another in his own time. Even after his death, his son Solomon, who was chosen by God to replace him as king, killed his half-brother Adonijah. Though it was a story of sword killings, incest, and all that, all those terrible things, then one would want to ask, why didn't God come to the rescue of the lineage of David as he had always done? That is indicating that God does not approve of polygamy, but he permits it, because there are several events in the Old Testament that shows God bringing blessings to people through polygamy. However, when the problems arose, he didn't lift a finger to help them. That's to show that if you go into polygamy, you are on your own. God will be blessing you in every other area, but when the challenges of polygamy arise, he will fold his arms. Then we go into the Christian era. Of course, Jesus Christ, the originator of Christianity, made his own assertion known, his own command. He said, he quoted the Old Testament, said, God created them male and female, man and woman. And he said, and so shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his own wife, and the two shall become one. In that pronouncement of Jesus, the father of Christianity, there is no room for polygamy. However, he said somewhere that God permitted divorce. He permitted something like polygamy because of the people's stiff-neckedness. So God, in that case, is submitting that polygamy is permitted, but not the will of God. And it's no surprise that in the first century church, there are indications of the presence of polygamy there. How do I know? Does that sound heretic? Well, if you consider one of the conditions laid down for anyone who wanted to become a bishop or a deacon, one of the conditions was that the man must be a man of one wife. Then you would want to ask, why that condition? If all men in the church were monogamous, that's an indication that there were polygamists in the church, but they were not permitted. They were not given the privilege of serving in delicate positions in the church because of the dangers that would arise. So the submission from Judaism, from pre-Judaistic period, from Christian, early Christian church, is that if anyone goes into polygamy, they have not gone into any gross sin. However, they should not expect God to intervene when any problem arises from that. Then we have our brothers and sisters who are Muslims. I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have not read the Quran so well. I read it, I love it. So I will not talk authoritatively about that, but I want to say on the authority of what Muslim clerics have said and have read out to us from the Quran, you will see that even in the Quran, there is a very strong condition placed before anybody who wants to be a polygamist in the Quran. He must be a man that will be fair to all the wives. A man that has all the resources to take care of all the wives, that none of them may suffer. But most importantly, he must be fair. Then I ask you, who is that man in the present day who has all the resources to adequately take care of 2 wives or more? Who has the mental capacity, who has the degree of wisdom to be fair to all of them? It means even in Islam, if you want to be a polygamist, you have a very great task on your hands, a great task that you may avoid. And also in the traditional religions of Africa, Asia, and other places, there is no outright condemnation of polygamy. We have it that you could be. But if you look into the purpose of each of those, though not written in some cases, religions, those faith, fairness is advocated as a precondition for allowing anybody to go into polygamy. And I want to ask you, do you have what it takes to be a polygamist without having any problem? If the challenges arise, will you be able to take care of them without any divine help? If you can, then you can go ahead. Now, this is just one of the series on our discussion about polygamy. Initially, when conceiving this topic, I thought of reading out a set of questions for us to ponder and then make our own decisions. But later, taking a look at the critical nature of this topic, I decided that, well, let's roll them out in series. This is the first series of our discussions, of our sessions on the issue of polygamy. Then, if you want to look at the moralistic point of view for the benefits of those who don't belong to any religion, any faith, those who are morally concerned about being somebody who lives a good life, those who don't even believe God exists, will still be considering this topic from the moralistic point of view very soon in subsequent editions. And we cannot but also go back to make references to certain issues from the Bible, from the Quran, from Judaism, from Christianity, from Islam. So, welcome on board. Subsequently, we'll have more discussions. Till then, I say bye. Thank you for listening.